Okay, let's walk through creating a skill. So in this case, I asked Claude, hey, give me the cost per lead trend over the last 12 months. It rendered this chart in the chat directly, which is great. It's a lot faster. But when I'm creating a skill, I actually want an artifact. So it keeps the styling consistency every time it outputs the report with fresh data. Right? So I just said, hey, render as an artifact. And it gives me this. I like the way it looks, and I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to be using this more often, or it's going to be a repeatable report, right? So here's a use case where I would want to turn it into a skill. So this skill will do one thing. It'll pull fresh data from your defined coupler data flow, and it'll build this skill with the most recent data. So I have a skill I created to build a report skill. I call it a create a report skill, and you have access to this file. You can download and upload it to your own Claude instance. So I go create report skill, and I hit enter. So this is a little hack I put in when I was testing editing skills, which we'll cover in a second. I put it in here just to kind of, is it actually working? And it is. So I will type finally. The version that you can download will not have this in there. So it gives you a summary of what it captured, right? It's the data source, the data logic, filters, and then column schema, which is more how it interacts with the data that you have piped to Claude through coupler, and then the metrics, and then the output, which is this artifact, right? Dashboard, the metric cause, and then the design. Everything looks good, so we're going to say looks good. Okay, so we have a demo SLG cost per lead trend, and it's asking me to save skill. So I say save skill, and we are all set. So if I go back to customize, and I go to skills, you can see right here we have our skill. And if I go back to a chat, the next time you want this report, you just type in / and say select that skill. You hit enter, and it'll render that exact same report with fresh data. You can see here, it's going back to couplet saying, hey, let me get the most recent data. So it's going to update it with fresh data. You won't have it just generate the artifact with stale data. And here you go. You have exactly that same artifact rendered directly from the skill. This is great for a workflow, especially for repeatable tasks, because you can just go in /, pick the task you want, run it, do whatever else you need to do, and it auto-generates, and then with the coupler connection, it has the most recent data. So next, I want to talk about how to edit skills, and there's two ways you can really do that. So let's go back to customize and skills. Let's go back, let's look at the create report skill and see if we can find, there you go, right here. You can see in the capture process, we have this finally step, which I put in there intentionally. It's kind of a gut check. And so I want to remove that, right? So instead of downloading it, manually editing it, and re-uploading it, I just go edit with Claude. And I say, can we remove the step where you ask me to type finally? Let's do that. And you can see the process is it copies it to a writable location, takes the skill file, copies it to a writable location where Claude can write to it and make the update. Then the update lives here in the chat, and you're not done. You have to hit save skill, and you can see this pop up which says upload and replace, and that means it'll replace the file that's there currently, and it'll have the most recent one. If you do not do this step, it will only remember this change specifically in a chat where you made it. So this is a critical step. You hit upload and replace. Let's see if it worked. We'll go back to customize skills, create report skill, and that finally step is now gone. So it's a very cool way. You can just stay within the interface, within the Claude UI. You don't have to do this manual download and upload. The other way I like to update skills is that sometimes while I'm building, I have a report skill and I want to, kind of build it out, add to it. Sometimes the elements are just there for that current week for a specific question that needs to be answered, but sometimes I build it out and those become part of my new weekly or monthly report, right? So in that case, I kind of want to make the changes in the chat and then update the skill within this chat, right? I don't want to remember exactly what the changes were and copy them to the process we just covered. I want to do it directly in the chat where I'm already working with the report. So just to go through this process, right? I have this weekly performance report. I said run skill and it looks like this. It just has the week over week tables. And then I say, hey, can you add 8-week trending tables? Basically, I can see the week over week trend, but I can't see the trend over the last 8 weeks. It's another way to look at the data. I want to add that in, which I do. And let's see, right? So then I made those changes. And now we have these tables. I'm like, oh, cool. You know what? I actually want these in my weekly report, right? I want to have these consistently. So what I did here then was I said, update the weekly performance report. And basically all I do is I go here, I go update, and I say / this is my report. And then I say using the skill creator. I don't know if it's necessary, but I like to do that in here because then I know it's following the process that it's familiar with. And what I wanted to output is essentially the saved skill file, where if I go here, I go upload and replace, and my weekly performance report skill is now updated. And every week moving forward, it'll have those 8-week trend tables under those simple week over week tables, right? So it's a very cool way to just natively in the UI really get the reports, honed into where you want them to be, and you can just keep updating skills that then can be used, in this project, or they're not project dependent, right? So you can use them across projects. So that's pretty much creating and editing skills, which really has elevated this workflow.